So, well, um, this YouTube channel I have here started with erector sets and RC cars. One truck that's been on this channel for a very long time now was the Angel, which started as a Exceed RC Max Stone 10 or something like that. It was a knockoff, a Chinese knockoff AX10, which that truck's been discontinued for who knows how long. But that truck evolved to the point where literally the only thing left original of it were those shocks. Yeah. And I'd built my own body, built an entire frame. The motor in it was a DeWalt 18-volt drill and 3-speed, had chain-driven transfer case that I'd built from scratch. Links or 3/8 steel rod and 1/8-inch pipe on the ends. It was leaf sprung front and wheel. That's what remains of the front axle now. You can see the spring packs are about 3/8 of an inch thick. Had shackles. Can't hold it now, can I? Had shackles on it. Or had made my own U-bolts that I think I can save. Looks like I can bend this back and run a die over the threads. Also, I hope I can. Ring gear on this one, pinion's completely gone, but the ring gear is still there. My spool that I made is still there. There's a little bit of axle shaft left on the other side, so hopefully there's some salvageable parts there. There was one of the front tires that got torn to bits. It was the giant gaping hole I found earlier. Doesn't matter now. Here's back axle, it felt a little bit better. Housing's no longer very straight. I'm missing one of my custom-made axle shafts. I still have the other one. So part of my old tie rod. I still have the cab and front clip that I made. The bed sides are gone. Now the chassis, I intend to reuse the cradle and transfer case assembly, as well as the motor mount. I think I can save the motor mount and the chain tensional. And I'll probably cut off the back bumper as well, because the back bumper is still mostly there. It didn't, just solid hunk of steel. There's not much to get destroyed there. Other than that, it's a complete no loss. There's not much else on this that can be saved. Maybe I'll hammer out the front bumper, because that was kind of iconic. Front drive shaft's still there, well, part of the front drive shaft is still there. So on the right side, I have an LT Max to steal most of my axle parts out of, and steering knuckles. I'm going to upgrade to a bigger steering knuckle than what I had originally done. I got some parts here. I have another 18-volt DeWalt drill I can cut up. I have $450 worth of parts from RPP Hobby. Then from new tires, which I cannot get the old TSL boggles I had. I can only get the IROX. And I also have axle shafts, foams, servos, rims. I'm hoping. Had this laying around, I don't want to use it. Have this. This is funny, I ordered this while the truck was still in one piece. I'd taken it to a job with me in Wyoming. Was playing with it in the parking lot and snapped the drive shaft. Don't have, any of my tools to make an L drive shaft, so I just ordered a set of drive shafts for it. Well, a couple of days later, my dad's going down the road, going to a couple towns over. He was past Upton, heading towards, I think it was Gaffney is the name of the town. They have an L gas store there, and he was as he got off the interstate, big 4-lane interstate, this fell out the back of his truck. And he was going 80, thing tumbles down the highway, obviously flies apart. Plus gets hit by a car. This is now what's left of it. So, I told him to go back and salvage my car. That's what's left of my electronics. I'm hoping my receiver is still good. I just get no plastic case for it. All my servos are destroyed. I'm hoping my BEC can be saved. And I'm hoping my speed controller can be saved. I hope this is still functional. But we'll find out. So, yeah. Death of a truck that I had probably $1,000+ in and hundreds of hours of work. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of hours of machining and fabricating and figuring out how to make stuff work. Gone in a second or two. But I did build it once. I can build it twice. Yeah. So you know about the spot I'm talking of in Wyoming. Heading west from Upton. I forget the name of the town. I think it's on the way to a town called Gaffney, or I am butchering the name of that. If I am, I'm sorry. Right there, when you get on the 4-lane interstate, well, right when you get off the interstate there, is about where this happened. So, if you want to go look for remaining RC car parts, I mean, have at it. At this point, they're yours. I'm not driving 1,600 miles to go look for more parts that I probably can't find. Yeah. Alright, it's a quick little video here. I am back to working on the Ranger. I'm still at test the electrics. I'm going to save and reuse my original axle housings. The back two are mostly okay with a little bit of hammering on the anvil. They'll be fine. The front two, well, I'm going to have to straighten that up again. I can bend it back. And I built it once, I built it twice. That's normally how these things go. And I'm going to use these in place of that little flat ball that's go around. So I'm using a different style of steering knuckle, and this will work a lot better. The one, as much as I hate, I mean, I had thousands of dollars in that truck and a lot of time. I had hundreds and hundreds of hours in building it the first go around. Well, that being said, this is kind of a blessing in disguise if you choose to look at it that way, in the fact that I now get to go back and correct all the mistakes I made the first go round. I mean, I was a 12-year-old kid who built this first time. You know, I made mistakes. I had some short-sighted parts in it. But anyhow, that's not the point of this little clip here. These are small four-wheel drive stamped steel bead locks. And if I push them in, the bead pops out. So even if I get them mounted up, I know from experience these don't hold a bead worth a darn. And the tile will literally fall off. So I'm going to take that stuff, and I'm going to bead glue around this before I bolt them together. And that way the bead don't pop out and the tile don't fall off. Now you buy bead locks with RC 4-wheel drive rim, RC 4-wheel drive tile, thinking they'll work together. And they don't. I've run these rims, these stamped steel rims, several times. And they're a good looking rim, and for the money I can't really complain that much. But they don't work worth a darn. You can't mount them without the bead squeezing out like that. And even if you could, once you run the truck, the tile just falls off. They're junk. But they're cheap and they're steel and they actually support the weight of the truck. So I'm pleased with that. And you see the old ones here. And those where the bead popped out. Even after it was glued, the bead pulled out. Bogus. Here's what I'm saving of the old frame. I'm going to save that. That's been with this truck for a long time. I'm going to save it. Here's the new frame. All the bits and pieces. The real bumper is 3/8 by, I think, 1.25" flat ball. Front bumper is a 3/4" square key stock. And then I machined up some servo mounts. Nothing major. Just some easy stuff. If my light bulb will shine, and it does not, well, there's the new motor and transmission right there. Like that's the new motor and transmission. Dug that out of my stash today. There was a rubber duck. I'm going to zip tie that to the front of my dad's truck because, well, I want to. Here's what's left of the old frame after I done cut everything off that I was going to keep. I'm not sure what to do with this. My channel is kind of small and pitiful. I might do a giveaway and mail this off to some lucky subscriber. But I don't think anybody would want this mangled piece of metal. And I kind of want to hang on the wall and as a memento of what the Ranger used to be. But what I've saved is the frame. I cut off all my leaf spring mounts because none of them were mangled too bad. And I cut off the cradle on the bottom. It was also the transfer case essentially. Beyond that, I was thinking I was going to save the back bumper, but I'm not going to. It just isn't worth the rook trying to cut it up and make it work again. I saved motor mounts. It was a real pain to make the force go around, so I ain't going to scrap them now. I really want to save the front bumper and the grill, but I also accept that there's no amount of hammering I'm going to do that's ever going to make that right again. And the grill, well, it's just part of the wild mesh that goes around the air filter. So, I just cut another one out. Kind of a shame. I'm still royally pissed that this got destroyed the way it did. I built it to bounce off rocks and trees. I built it to be beat on as a toy, but not fall out of back of a truck at 8 miles an hour. And I'm assuming time scales linearly, which I'm going to go and presume it does not because mass does not, and most things do not scale in a linear fashion. Dimensions, physical size scales linearly, and that's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned. This is what happens to a truck after about an 800 mile an hour crash. Saying this is 1/10 scale, and my dad was actually going 80 miles an hour. So, say time scales linearly, that was 800 mile an hour wreck. Yeah. I did hammer. I have more work to do. The back is still all kinds of football. But the two sides and whatnot are hammered out for the most part. I'm going to leave like that. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go in and flame weld corners in because both those got destroyed. And it's one too thin to MIG it. So I'm going to flame weld all that in. But I'm not going to paint this again. I'm not going to hammer it out perfect. I'm going to put it back together like it was. And I'm going to hammer the back out so it's flat again. Because it ain't flat now. But I'm going to leave some old beat up parts like this on it. Kind of as a memory of what it was and what had happened. Originally the only parts that were left, I don't know what I've done with them now. Better done tossed them. From what the truck began as, what it was originally. at this point in its life, the only thing left stock, the only thing from the original truck were the shock absorbers. Nothing else remained. So now I have absolutely nothing left of the original truck because the shocks, I only found one of them and it was busted. So I must continue the tradition of some part of it must live on, which is going to be that, and it's going to be easier to straighten a lot of stuff than it is to make another set. So, but I'll continue doing updates now at the end of this, twist the whole thing into one big upload, one series of rebuilding the Angel. This is a good guy. I've had this truck probably 12, 13 years. It can't die now. I'm an incredibly stubborn and sentimental person. I do not let things die. If it dies, it's because I wanted it to. So, I mean, that Silva is obviously quite shot. It's a giant dent in the can. Yeah, it's not going to spin anymore. My old Castle BEC with a lot of bare wires right now, ones that shouldn't be touching. My speed controller and my receiver that busted its case off are somehow all still functional. I have that channel connected, which would be real steel. Then I have so my electronics all still good.